Hi, I'm Kim Westlund. I help you discover and take action on your vision so you can build the life that you've always dreamed about. Many of us tend to set goals at the beginning of the year for the year ahead on all the things that we want to achieve. And what happens when you have a dream and you make a plan to start building your life toward that dream? And then you find yourself in a place where you've kind of lost your way, or you don't see much happening, or a whole lot of change. There could be many reasons for this. So I'm hoping to unpack what I've had to adjust so that I stay focused and motivated to keep going. When people don't succeed in their visions, I find it's often because they don't really understand how to prioritize them. Yes and no are two very powerful words that need to be considered every time we decide to do something. Like the example of driving down a road, and we have so many different options to take the exits and what turns to make. Some may lead to some really interesting places. If we take an exit off to the left, we might find fun and amenities and cool places to eat. But is that the road, as good as it is, leading you towards your vision? Don't get caught in the trap of doing good things just because they seem good. Do things that are good for your vision. There's a distinct difference there. It's easier to determine a decision between something that is good and bad. There's usually, when it's that stark, you know which way that you need to be going. But what about a good decision versus the best decision? The best choice for me at this point in time is a choice that's aligned with my vision for my company and for the new things I'm doing and the new path I'm on. So that is going to require doing some unfamiliar things, but learning how to advance my vision in the process. I find many people suffer a lot of frustration by being distracted and maybe taking those exits that just don't align with their top priorities. So let this be a bit of a check-in today to see if you're feeling frustrated about where you're at on your journey and if something just needs to be adjusted to get back on the right road. One thing that muddies the waters in terms of priorities is just too many goals. It's a real trap to go across a wide surface and do a lot of things mediocre or just scratching the surface. It's much better and more effective if you take one or two of those goals and go deep with them. It's about setting priorities and understanding what's important when. So if you have a goal that is hard, think about something that's really hard, but that would really, really move you forward. It's easy to want to avoid because that's our human nature and do a whole lot of insignificant things slightly attached to that goal, but not the goal. It's easy to avoid those hard, important changes. But in order to really make a difference for you and where you're going in your vision, you have to get honest with yourself. Address the hard goal or the one that is asking for your time and your focus and your attention. I guarantee you will probably find that you have a lot of renewed energy just because you've accomplished it. I found that it's easy to find all the new tips and tricks and hacks and tools to be productive. I can read all the books, and I have a lot of them back here. But the real problem is within me if I'm not willing to action what I'm reading. A library of books is not going to make me change anything. It's a ton of knowledge, but not a lot of application or action. So productivity in your goals shouldn't mean packing your agenda with just more things than you can handle. Some of that is just plain old distraction. It means prioritizing what matters most, becoming efficient and freeing up the time for other things that you're lacking, like maybe quality family time, or exploring your faith, or learning a new skill or a new hobby that's going to push you forward. Being productive in your goals that matter really should allow you freedom to choose what you want to focus your time and attention to. I think At times, we have a real misconception about hustle culture. We wear it like a badge of honor the busier that we are. And I've fallen in that trap too. I understand that. But I've also learned it's more important to be a finisher and to have my priorities sorted out and then move on to the next priority. So if you could picture your life at the end of this year, what would the ultimate productivity look like for you? Priorities are also determined by focusing on our why. You need to keep your why in front of you at all times. As well, you need to keep the end in mind and work backwards. This is simply your vision. You have to have a clear understanding of where you're going and why it matters. This has to come from you. You have to do the work here. I know that's a sobering thought for some of you, but I'm not going to candy coat it. You have to do the work. A really, really effective exercise is to picture yourself at the end of this year celebrating. Close your eyes and see who's in the room celebrating with you. What are you celebrating? Think about some very specific things that you accomplished. How does that make you feel? Meditate on those things. Get that really deep down in your heart and keep that in mind as you finish out the rest of this year, because that can really fuel you moving forward. And now, what would productivity look like leading up to that time? And this is another opportunity to get really specific. For me, I don't want to be working all the time and take my relationships for granted. My loved ones, my family, my friends, they shouldn't have to pay for me not having my priorities in check. And it's really easy as an entrepreneur to work all the time. I'm sure my entrepreneur friends out there know exactly what I'm talking about. I also want to build a great company, but I have to have my priorities super clear and attached to a plan. I don't want to find this out too late. I've seen relationships fail and families fall apart simply because priorities didn't land in the right order. And thirdly, what is motivating and sustaining you? This is really important as you move forward because it's easy to fall away when the days get really hard. I ran across a quote from Gary Vee recently and I thought it was great. He said, "You have a dream and you're giving up after 4 months? You're giving up after 2 years? If you have a dream, you should be working for that moment for the rest of your life." The reason I really like that is because it speaks to resilience and motivation to reach those dreams. Having a vision that is connected to your purpose really matters. Change does not always happen overnight as much as we would love it to. But there are some things that can steal our motivation toward achieving our goals. Getting around the right people who are succeeding and are ahead of you is a huge motivator. You need to see things bigger. I met with a friend here just a couple of weeks ago. After 1 hour of sitting with this person, I started to see things bigger. I started to see possibility in what I was working on. And that's all it took, was just getting around somebody who motivated me to do more and to think more. And get out of your environment. Sometimes just switching up the four walls that you're looking at can be a huge motivator. One very practical exercise would be to take everything listed on your calendar and measure it against your overarching vision and then your priorities. It'll start to get really clear when you go through this process and when you're really intentional about it. So what you need to maintain, what needs to be put on pause and maybe picked up at a later date, and simply what needs to be stopped. There may be things in your calendar that are completely derailing you away from where you want to go and where you need to be to finish out this year really strong and then celebrate your accomplishments. To help inspire you, I have put together a super fun, motivational 80s playlist that you can download here for free. And it's going to help inspire you to stay focused on your vision, your goals, your dreams. All you have to do is click the link in the description. Subscribe to this channel for more inspiration and resources like this. Thanks for listening.